Back here on the Rich Eisen show, Kirk Morrison filling in for Rich. Just watching that, wow. I'm still shocked. I'm still in silence, and I can only imagine what you kind of felt being there as Arash Markazi, columnist for the LA Times, joins us now on the Rich Eisen show. And I'm still kind of in shock that happened. Like, Clayton Kershaw goes out there after an unbelievable, one batter in the seventh inning, but you're like, okay, Clayton looks good. Clayton looks great, but he did his job. And so when the eighth inning rolls around, I'm like, are they going to bring him back or keep him on the bench? Because I see other guys warming up in the bullpen, and the decision to bring him out and then that fast. Like, after the first home run, I was like, okay, Clayton, you're done.
Yeah.
But then you keep him out there, and then that happens. And so you were at the game. Just kind of give me just the mood of not only the press box, but just the stadium.
Kirk, you touched on it. I mean, we could debate whether or not he should have been on the mound to begin. But when he gives up that home run, and there was no doubt about that home run to Rendon, he comes out. It is a short leash for Clayton Kershaw, and then for him to stay on the mound, and then for Soto, and we just touched on it, that home run was not close.
No,
I mean, it was one pitch, and it was gone. So that was the problem that I have with Dave Roberts. It wasn't just that Clayton was on the mound, but that you didn't pull him after that first home run. And there was no doubt about it. And then the second thing, the Joe Kelly. First of all, Joe Kelly shouldn't have been on the mound at that point in the game, but with the bases loaded, I mean, how do you do that? That's how, when you're waking up this morning and you're a Los Angeles sports fan, it's one thing if you lose in the World Series. But to lose in the NLDS after a 106-win season, and because of two really bad decisions that when we're watching the game in the press box and you're watching the game at home, how are those guys still on the mound? We've seen them during the course of this season. They cannot be in that position.
But what was the mood, though, of the stadium? Because I saw pictures of people running over Clayton Kershaw jerseys. Were they booing Clayton, or were they booing Dave Roberts?
Fan is short for fanatic, and when you're in the aftermath of a really tough loss and you put the blame on Kershaw, that happens. I think those fans hopefully will regret that. Clayton Kershaw will go down as one of the greatest Dodgers of all time. No doubt about his postseason. And he was up there and he said, you could put it on me. I can't. Listen, I have not performed in the postseason. I don't really hold fan to that one fan who puts a jersey on the street, But I've never seen a stadium more depressed. And not only that, Kirk, I've never seen a clubhouse more depressed, because there was a lot of guys who felt that this was the year, who had been on the team the last two seasons, and they'd come up just short, and they had felt that this was the year. And again, going into the ninth, 12 walk-off wins this season, there was no doubt in their mind that they were going to win that game. So for them not only to not win the game, but to lose in the fashion that they did, just a lot more tears than I had seen in the past, a lot more long hugs, because this is the end of the road for some of those guys. David Freese, Rich Hill, guys that may not come back.
Arash Markazi, columnist for the LA Times, joining us. Kirk Morrison filling in for Rich on the Rich Eisen show. And so my next question would be Dave Roberts, because we've seen Clayton kind of stand up, answer all the questions. Dave Roberts answered the questions, but it seemed that this was an analytical team over the last couple years. And last night, they went away from analytics, right? They told me, I went with my gut. But that was different than what you've told us in years past. So how are people taking that in a situation where you've been an analytical team and you went away from it?
Yeah, Kirk, I mean, this is why I have always defended him in the past, because I don't believe he coaches with his gut. I think these are a lot of decisions that are made prior to the game, prior to the series. But in those two instances that I touched on, with Clayton Kershaw gives up that quick home run, that is a short hook. I mean, you cannot allow him to pitch to Soto in that situation. And then you move on to Joe Kelly. You cannot allow him to pitch bases loaded. I mean, so those are two situations that, whether it's gut or not, those are decisions that Dave Roberts cannot make the decisions that he made. I do believe he will be back. I would be shocked if he's not here. But Joe Maddon is available. And I'm not saying that he's the next manager of the Dodgers. I do believe he will be in Los Angeles one way or the other. But It's just those are the two decisions that I just like. I don't know how you could have watched the team during the course of the season and felt that was the best decision for the team.
You know, when I knew you were going to be on the show today, you were the perfect person to ask this question because, and maybe it's a tough analogy, but I look at the Lakers, right? We're talking about Los Angeles sports, and you look at the Lakers, their roster, and if their roster was built like the Dodgers, having had so much success over the last 3 seasons, back-to-back World Series, and then this year, there will be a coaching change because that time it's just the pressure in Los Angeles. Okay, on to the next.
Sure.
So when you tell me that possibly Dave Roberts comes back, what will be the biggest reason that you bring a coach back after getting, because you're going this way and all of a sudden now it seems like, is this team declining or are they still ascending?
I think Friedman likes the fact that he has a good relationship with Dave Roberts. I've never heard of a problem between the two of them. I think a lot of the decisions that Dave makes are in lockstep with what they decide prior to a game, prior to a series. But when you make the high-profile, game-changing, series-changing, season-ending decisions that he made, it is very hard for him to keep his job publicly. I do believe when the dust settles, cooler heads prevail, I do believe he will be back just because he is the guy that they believe will make the decisions that they want. I have never heard of a situation where Dave goes against what the team has decided. When I say the team, it's, I say, Andrew Friedman and that entire group. But Dave does have a call. He does have a decision. And we saw two massive ones there where you're just watching at home. And even we're watching in the press box saying, wait, why is Clayton still there? Why is Joe Kelly still on the mound?
Arash Markazi, LA columnist, joining us. This is the funny part because with my background as a former player in the NFL, I always knew that there was somebody who was going to get sort of the blame all thrown on them. But at the end of the day, I'm at my locker like, man, I missed 2 or 3 tackles. I mean, that guy over there, he missed a block. No one talks about that. And so I bring that up is because we're going to talk about Dave Roberts. We're going to talk about Clayton Kershaw, but Cody Bellinger, Corey Seager.
No doubt about it.
You mentioned Joe Kelly. I mean, even Pollock was one of your off-season. A.J. Pollock was your off-season acquisition. And he pretty much went over for the entire season.
He pitched hit for one more strikeout. It was ridiculous. Craig, you're 100% right. Will Smith, I go back. We thought he had a walk-off home run. I mean, even he did. He kind of had he kind of flipped his bat. And if they win the game, we kind of forget about all this. Now we move on to the next series. Listen, they did not perform. The whole team did. But as you know in sports, if there's one big play, one big moment, and there were 2 of them, Dave Roberts' decisions, Clayton Kershaw, and I just feel so bad for Clayton Kershaw because of the career that he's had here and what he's meant to this team. And for him, time in and time, I mean, just to not perform well. Back-to-back home runs, Kirk.
Yeah.
Back-to-back pitches, I mean, we're just watching that stunned. Just knowing that no matter what he does, and I don't think there's a way for him to take back what happened. I think even if he were to come back, he's the 3rd pitcher on the team. He's not going to get the ball in a Game 7 situation. His story, his legacy will be the postseason, playoff Kershaw.
But if I have an opt-out, and now I'm moving to Kenley Jansen.
Oh, yeah.
Because here's a guy that I should feel slighted. Here I am, I've been the closer for this team. I've been the guy that when the game is on the line, put me in. Now, I've had some rough patches here and there, but, in the postseason, I've been trying to tell you, I'm lights out. So he has a player option for next year. What do you think Kenley Jansen's future with the Dodgers?
Yeah, he should leave. He should request a change of scenery. And by the way, when they played California Love and they're down 4 runs and he's jogging to the mound, I felt bad for him. I felt bad that he was put in that situation. He did not get the ball in a pressure situation. So they're playing his famous song that we'd heard. Listen, he put himself in that position by the way he performed during the course of this season. But that being said, for him not to get the ball at that moment, with a tie game, kind of let you know where the team views him. And if that's the case, that's fine. But he's got to go somewhere else because he can still play.
I do want to revisit our poll question because I'm going to go to Brockman for a minute.
I'm so glad you brought up this poll question.
Yeah, because the poll question, I want you to answer it so you can revisit it.
Yeah, guys, here's the poll real quick. Would you rather lose like the Braves did, a 10 spot in the first, it's over quickly, or the Dodgers yesterday, down to the end, you had a chance, you could have advanced, but you get your heart ripped out?
Here's why I believe I would rather have it the way the Dodgers lost. I am a Los Angeles sports fan, so that means two things. I arrived to the game slightly late, and when the game is in hand, I leave and I go home. And so what would have happened, and I was picturing a father picking up his son and saying, son, we'll get there in the top of the second. Don't worry. It's going to be a great day. And how depressed that father and son would have been to see a 10-0 game in the bottom of the first. The game is over. Right. So if you're a Los Angeles sports fan, maybe you stay for a little bit and then you leave because that game was over in the first. So I would have hoped to enjoy the game. Now you get your heart pulled out, you get your heart ripped out, but at least you would have enjoyed it a little bit. But yeah.
Well, my next question before we let you go in here in a minute, but so what's next?
Yeah.
Like when you start to look and evaluate this Dodgers team for 2020. What's the team going to look like?
Listen, this team is built for sustained success. Their core group is very, very young and very talented. Their problem is they're going to win the division going away. They're going to finish with the best record, maybe the second best. They got to get some help in the bullpen. Kirk, this is the third year in a row that they have not been able to hold a lead. I mean, you go back to 2017, Kershaw blowing two. Not 1-2, 4-run leads. Kenley Jansen blowing a save. A 3-1 game. I mean, Walker Buehler. No one's talking about Walker Buehler today. I mean, what he did was fantastic. So they got to get some help in the bullpen. But for the most part, the core group, I think, will be the same. And they're a fantastic young team. But they got to find a way to win this. It's been 31 years.
And so now, as a LA Times columnist, when do you change that mindset from, all right, Dodgers are over, let's focus on the Lakers and Clippers?
No, listen, I woke up, I went to bed at 12:30. I woke up at 4:30, 5:30, watched the preseason game with the Lakers in China, going to see the Clippers tonight. No, the transition has begun. I was hoping it was going to be a little bit later. But you got the Lakers, you got the Clippers. It's a fun time in Los Angeles. We wish we had some more postseason baseball, but it was not to be.
And don't forget the Rams, right? On
the
Sunday.
Rams are here. The Chargers are here. It's a great time to be in Los Angeles.
Hey, Arash, man, always a pleasure to see you, man.
Thanks, Kirk.
That's Arash Markazi, LA Times columnist, joining the Rich Eisen Show.
For more of the Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live or download the Rich Eisen Show app.